You would be hard-pressed to find a FromSoftware weapon more iconic than the Moonlight Greatsword itself. I mean, this thing has been present ever since King's Field. I am not even joking, this sword is older than I am. Despite being a weapon that is 3 decades old at this point, it stayed relatively the same for the most part, it being a massive blue hunk of iron that is capable of shooting beams of light. In any case, today we are not here to look at the King's Field or the Armored Core variants, despite how important they are when it comes to their legacy. Instead, we are taking a look at the ones found deep within the universes of the Soulsborne series, from Demon Souls, all the way to Elden Ring. Let's begin. Acquiring the Moonlight Greatsword is very simple in Demon Souls. You just have to pick it up from a pile of slugs, located in arguably the most dangerous area in the entire game. Oh, and by the way, just to make sure, it also happens to be a poison swamp, because why not? Thank you, Miyazaki. To make this journey easier, I went with the royalty class, and I also happened to choose the item discovery ring. Reason being, man, you're gonna be getting so much more grass with this, it's not even comparable. The start is as usual as you would expect it to be. You die, you get teleported to the Nexus, and then make your way over to 1-1. You go through the area as you normally would, and I also recommend killing the Red Knight. It is relatively easy with the magic that you have, especially considering the absurdity of your damage. And not only that, but it's just good to kill him because he drops so many souls for you. You can also pick up the Cling Ring, although looking back on it, I really shouldn't have, considering that we're gonna be human for the most part anyway. Regardless, here's an actually important ring you're gonna want to pick up. The Thief Ring. This item will allow you to be extra sneaky once we reach World 5. More on that a bit later. For now, you want to start Ostrava's quest chain. See, here's the thing. He has a terrible case of acrophobia, and your task is to help him overcome his fear by slapping him down. As a reward, he is going to clear out all the enemies in the area. Thanks, buddy. Anyway, you keep going through Boletaria, you want to run across the Dragon Bridge yet again, you activate the lever, and now comes the fun part. Boss time. Just keep throwing firebombs at him and make sure to buff your weapon with fire, and you're gonna be good. Once you finish up with the boss, it is time to return to the Nexus. Now you can finally start leveling up. I choose to focus primarily on vitality, endurance and intelligence. You really don't have to worry about your damage too much, because most of it is gonna be coming from weapon buffs anyway. Regardless, before I go into 5-1, I do want to take a small detour to 3-1. There are a few things I want to do here. Number 1, you want to get the Talisman of God. The main reason why we want this item is so that we can cure the poison we're gonna have to deal with later. Number 2, you want the Regenerator Ring. The skip can be a bit tedious, but if you remove all your gear before you start attempting it, the process will be infinitely easier. And last but not least, the Adjudicator. He is a very easy boss, and he drops a ton of souls that we're gonna need in just a little bit. Once you're done with that too, go back to the Nexus, level up some more and make sure to buy Cloak, Antidote and Flame Toss. Once more onto the Breach. The Valley of Defilement can be a tough area if you come unprepared, but thankfully we have all the rings we need, and the Cloak spell, which admittedly is going to allow you to simply run through most of the area without any issues. I came close to dying a few times, but thankfully I have a ton of grass, so that won't happen. Next up comes the Leechmonger. Make sure to buy Black Pine Resin before you try to attempt this guy. I know it's an easy boss, but this item will make things infinitely faster. After showing him the warmth of life, you can go back and level up some more, but to be honest, you probably don't need it. Here comes the most difficult part in the entire run. You just have to take things easy and be as sneaky as possible. You want to constantly alternate between curing your poison and casting Cloak, while also having the Thief Ring on. Then finish up all the slugs that may be in your way. Once you reach the top, burn their nests down, clear out some of them, and now you have it. The Moonlight Greatsword. Dark Souls 1 has a unique mechanic that ended up being completely abandoned by FromSoftware. I am sure you all know what I'm talking about. You can chop the tails of enemies and use them as weapons. One of the more famous tail weapons is none other than the Moonlight Greatsword itself, dropped by the one and only Seat the Scaleless. We start with the Thief Claws and the Fire Bombs. Reason being, you want to take out the Asylum Demon with the bombs, and also have access to the Master Key. You then talk to Oscar because that is faster than killing him. And last but not least, you leave the Asylum. Once you're in Firelink Shrine, you want to grab the Homeward Bone and Humanity. Once that is done, go through the Valley of the Drakes, grab a couple soul items, and rest at the Darkroot base in Bonfire. You can also kill the Black Knight, and if things go your way, you get his halberd. Sadly I didn't, but that is fine, at least we have more souls. You should also pick up the best item in the game, the Grasscraft Backpack. Next, work your way up the garden, kill this crystal lizard, and we get super lucky with 2 Titanite chunks. We are gonna need this much later. Anyway, as soon as you leave Darkroot Garden, your next goal should be acquiring the halberd. Do you have to do this? Of course not, but I personally love using this weapon and I am much better with it than I am with the Thief Knife. Don't forget to upgrade it. Next, you get the Firekeeper Soul and you want to defeat Iron Pineapple and his army. You can now peacefully free Lautrec, who's gonna play an important role in this journey later on. Take out the gargoyles, and now it is time to ring the first bell. Rush back to Firelink, teach Lautrec a lesson about gravity, reload the game, and take his ring. I swear, this is never gonna stop being entertaining. Before you go into Blighttown, make sure you upgrade your Estus. Before we even begin fighting the boss of this area, I want to ask a question. Do you remember what Quaylag's weakness is? That's right, Man-Eater Mildred. Here's the thing, I really didn't need to summon her. I thought my damage was gonna be lower, but either way, at least we can see Mildred in action. Ring the second bell, get back to Firelink Shrine, and make your way over to the Nameless King's funhouse. There are a couple of things I want to grab while here, namely, the Ring of Steel Protection and the Lightning Spear. Do not underestimate this weapon, and trust me when I say it, this is gonna carry us for the most part. Next, you want to turn the Iron Golem into iron scraps, reach the city of Anorlando, and before you go through this area as you normally would, you want to grab the Crystal Halberd as well. Put a few points into upgrading your gear at the Giant, and now you are ready to face the guards of the Princess, Ornstein and Smo. After this lengthy battle, you want to take the dinner plate from Guinevere, give it back to the funny snake man, and now you can go through the Duke's archives. Put on the Ring of Sacrifice so that you won't lose your souls to Seat, escape from the prison you were entrapped into, charge through the crystal caves, and in the fight against Seat, you want to aim for his tail and tail alone. Cut that thing off, refuse to elaborate, and leave. Here's the situation with Dark Souls 2. The Moonlight Greatsword is hidden behind the boss soul, that being the old Pale Drake soul. The problem is that you can only get it from the Duke's Dear Freya in New Game Plus. This means you really want to start off with the Bonfire Ascetic. You can find one in Zeldora as well, but I think it's best to just pick this up and never worry about it ever again. Your starting class shouldn't matter as much, but I went with the Knight. And the weapon I have on my mind is obviously the Rapier. If you never played Dark Souls 2, the Rapier is essentially the best weapon this game has to offer, and you get it super early. Anyway, as soon as you get into Majula, you want to get Molly's armor set. Next, you want to rush over to the Dragon Rider and chase him for a quick soul boost. I also made sure to kill Lycia here for another couple thousand. After that, we rush to the Forest of Fallen Giants, blow the wall up from inside to get the shortcut unlocked early, and now you rush to the giant. After which, you kill the pursuer. You also do not want to buy the fragrant branch from Melantia. We will get it from another place instead. We go to the last Bastille. Once you have gotten here, you want to unlock Druff, the blacksmith. Granted, we only want the large titanite from him. You also want to pick up the first branch we're gonna be using. Next, head over to Majula, and make sure to buy the Ring of Whispers and a few alluring skulls. Go towards the Shaded Woods, unpetrify Rosabeth, throw the skull so that you won't get swarmed, and just keep going until you reach the ruined Fork Road. Here I have a few main goals. Number 1, I want to start Tark's quest chain by wearing the ring we previously got, and also get the chunk lying around here. Next, you want to take out Bootleg Quailag, return to Tark, and he gives you a branch as a reward. Make sure to unpetrify this guy. You get the key to Ornifex from him. After that, you want to rush through the Doors of Perros, take out the Prowling Megas, and then we're finally here. Rush to the bottom, grab the chunks and then the slab along the way, upgrade to +10, get your torch out, and it is time to fight on. Well, that was easy. You gain plus time. For the most part, we're gonna be using the same idea, although you want to play it very safely. You can die much more easily. All that is left to do now is to just visit Ornifex and acquire the much desired sword. Okay, maybe this is a bit harder than I thought. Yeah, you want to be very slow and methodical about this, but once everything is cleared out, you can go in and you're done. About Bloodborne. Last time I did the Claymore runs, and needless to say, I sort of embarrassed myself. I've considered the Holy Moonlight Sword to be this game's equivalent to the Claymore. And because I went in mostly unprepared, it took me a total of 9 hours to get it. Today, that won't happen again. Today, we rise to the top. The beginning involves running through Yharnam to acquire a couple of upgrade materials, Insight to start leveling up, some good looking hunter gear, and of course, Father Gascoigne's MP3 player. I also took out the Cleric Beast to get a decent amount of blood echoes, and then I rushed to the first of many hunters we shall slaughter. Here's a fun fact about Gascoigne. He's a massive fan of Dark Souls 2, and his music box only plays the Majula theme on repeat, which is why he always becomes mesmerized whenever this item is used. This will then let you get a few viscerals on him, essentially turning on easy mode. Once you are done with him, you can buy the Hunter Chief emblem and go straight to Amelia. Instead, we're gonna meet up with Solaire, then engage in jolly cooperation to take out the Bloodstarved beast, after which we can just go to the cathedral without even needing to spend the echoes on this thing. Talk about saving up! With the fire papers, Amelia becomes a pushover for the most part. And now you can access the Hunter's Nightmare. But not just yet. First, you want to take out the Witch of Hemwick, so that you can equip the Hunter runes. Make sure to fight this boss with 0 insight. After the witches have been defeated, we must seek the help of our good friend, Walter.
I am the danger.
I'm not talking about that one.
Got a job for you, 621.
Not this one either.
I am Volta.
That's the one. You can now make your way into the Hunter's Nightmare. But make sure to kill at least one red-eyed hunter. Because Walter is gonna help us with Ludwig, but in order for that to happen, you need to crush one vermin and to also have his rune equipped. And with that, you may claim the Holy Moonlight Sword. All for yourself. Moving on to Dark Souls 3, it's going to be a very similar situation as Dark Souls 2. All you have to do is exchange the soul of Osiris for the Moonlight Greatsword. But getting to him can be a bit tricky. See, the general path of progression in this game revolves around taking out the 3 main lords of Cinder. the Abyss Watchers, Yorm the Giant, and Gwendolyn. After that, you have to deal with Lothric and Lorien. But in order to get to them, you need to defeat the Dancer of the Boreal Valley, who also unlocks a pet to Osiris if you want to go that way. In our case, it is the boss we want to fight. That said, you don't have to beat all of the Lords of Cinder in order to go this way. You just have to fight the Dancer early, and if you decide to go down that path, you're gonna be in a world of pain. Unless, that is, you prepare accordingly. We start with the Knight class for a variety of reasons. High vigor, strength, dexterity, and it also has the least amount of luck. As for your starting gift, you have a pretty good variety of options. But at the end of the day, it boils down to Life Ring or Fire Gem. I went with the Life Ring for the purpose of survivability, and you can get a Fire Gem very easily later down the road. The start is as basic as it can be. Grab the Ashen Estus from Oscar, kick Gundir's ass, and you want to get naked as you're gonna be doing a jump very soon. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. I need every bit of help that I can get if I want to stand a chance against the Dancer. When it comes to leveling up, we mostly just want more vigor, and we also have to get our dexterity to 14 at some point. I will explain why later. Before you tackle Wart, you want to save some time and grab the banner from Emma. Once you've finished up with Pontiff Sullivan's pet, you want to unlock Yoel of Londor and start the process of hollowing. I think everyone knows where I'm going with this. In order to receive the levels from Yoel, you need to die and become more and more hollow. Here comes the best part. Once you finish up Yoel's quest, Yuria of Cainers will move into Firelink Shrine, and she sells you the Dark Hand, arguably the strongest early game weapon. And this is what I'm gonna be using to tackle the Dancer. Before we do all that though, I want to mention a couple of other important steps that you should be taking here. You want to make sure you grab the cestus from the sewers, and you also want to start Sigward's quest chain. Killing this demon will give you the fire gem we need. This is gonna be used to enchant the cestus later on, so it becomes a fire weapon. Before you wrap this area up, you should also grab the Cloranti ring, and then kill the Outrider Knight for the Irithil sword. I mentioned earlier we need 14 dexterity. This is why. You're gonna want to hold off with these for the time being, but it will be a necessary combo later on. Next you want to take Mikola out because he's the one who has the transporting kiln. With all this said and done, you are ready to take down the Dancer of the Boreal Valley. Admittedly, I did die a few times in situations I really shouldn't have died in, but I still managed to take her out relatively fast. Next, spend the souls on leveling up and you want to use the Fire Cestus and the Irithil Sword combo. Let me explain something. Osiris is incredibly weak to frostbite, and that is something that we will take advantage of thanks to the Irithil Sword. But here's the catch. Once something is affected with frostbite, there's a cooldown period, and during this time, you cannot apply it again. That is, not unless your target also gets hit with fire damage. Do you see where I'm going with this? You're gonna apply frostbite with the Irithil sword, and once you see the health burst happen, you want to warm up your enemy with the fire weapon that you have. Just one hit is enough. I was barely even dodging or paying too much attention, but I still managed to beat him with relative ease. I hope this strategy becomes helpful to at least one person out there. And now all that is left to do is Elden Ring. Hey guys, this is my Elden Ring playthrough. I hope you're all enjoying it. I am over here in Limgrave, trying to find some more—
Upon my name as Rani the Witch, thou wilt not go unpunished.
I'm sorry, Queen. I shall behave. Time to be serious. Starting class is the Samurai. Very good stat spread. And we also have a bleed weapon, something we are gonna need at the very beginning. My starting gift was the Stone Sword Key, but choose whichever one you like the most. You want to grab Torrent, the Golden Foul Foot to get more runes, then the Wondrous Physic, and once that is done, you can go through the teleporter and start sprinting over to Greyall. Killing her takes forever, unless you have a bleed weapon. Killing Grail gives you a ton of runes, and a few dragon hearts. Don't forget to spend 1 dragon heart to buy rot bread. As for the levels, I went with Vigor for obvious reasons. Next up, you want to get the Dectus Medallion, one being right next to you in Fort Ferrat, the other all the way to the south, in Fort Height. This is optional, but I also recommend taking Margit out so that you have a second talisman pouch unlocked. That being said, you do want to skip Stormveil Castle, and you want to go straight to Liurnia. I should also mention, I am not smart by any means, but I can confidently say I am more intelligent than both Radahn and Malenia, because at least I went and picked up Flame Cleanse Me. We are gonna need this later on during Ranni's questline. For now, just keep heading towards Caria Manor and you can try fighting Loretta, but that might be a bit difficult. Instead, just keep roaming the world for more seeds, smithing stones, sacred tears and golden runes. I also grabbed the Endspur Rapier as a future replacement for Rod Breath, and I also enchanted with the Lightning Slash Ash of War. You might be wondering why exactly did I go with this one, but the primary reason is because not only is it easy to obtain, but Loretta is weak to lightning. Either way, once you are done with Loretta, you want to start Ranni's questline, and this one is gonna be a bit lengthy. The most important steps are as follows. You want to talk to Team Ranni. You want Radahn dead, so that you may enter Nokron. You want to pick up the Fingerslayer Blade, which you then have to return to Ranni. You want to go to Ainsel River by using the portal in Rena's Rise. Then you want to pick up Mini Ranni and talk to her a few times. You need to kill Shadowblight, who then drops a key that opens the chest in Renala's room. Now look, I didn't do Raya Lucaria just yet, but this is a perfect time to do it because, let's just say it, I was way too weak to fight the Shadow at this point. Once you are finished with Renala, make sure to level up some more and don't forget to keep your equipment up to date as well. Then go defeat the Shadow. Go back to Renala's room and open the chest for the wedding ring. Go through the Lake of Rot, and yes, you guessed it, this is why we needed Flame Cleanse Me, otherwise it would be awful trying to go through this area. From the Grand Cloister, make your way towards Astel, and boy this is gonna be a hard one, but you can do it. He is weak to poison and Scarlet Rot, but honestly you shouldn't bother trying to poison him. Scarlet Rot alone is enough to take him out. I know I end up wasting a lot of time because of this, but I've decided to go back to Renala to change my build. I am not gonna need Fate anymore, and honestly, I could use a little more damage. And would you look at that? Worth it. All you have to do now is marry Ranni, and with that, the questline is over, and the sword is in your hands. With all of the runs now finished, it is time to see how much each and every one of them has taken. In last place, at a whopping 5 hours, 4 minutes and 43 seconds, we have Bloodborne. I'm joking, it's actually Elden Ring this time. It's a joke guys, joke, I'm joking. Sitting at 2 hours, 47 minutes and 4 seconds. Bloodborne, but for real this time. On 4th place, we have the first run that's below the 2 hours mark, with an impressive 1 hour, 47 minutes and 50 seconds. Of course, that goes to Dark Souls 2. 3rd place is very close to the 4th one, with a solid 1 hour, 43 minutes and 16 seconds. That's right, Dark Souls 1. 2nd place has a really good time considering the challenges that had to be faced, with a time of 1 hour, 22 minutes and 51 seconds. It goes to Dark Souls 3. And 1st place, the one and only with a sub 1 hour runtime, Demon Souls, with an impressive 59 minutes and 50 seconds. In any case, thank you very much for watching. I hope you will have beautiful days ahead of you, and I will see you again soon. Take care everybody.
You may rest here too, if you like.